Green trunks is the southpaw, the notorious Conor McGregor. Black trunks is the champion.
Nicky, you just shook up the world. How's that feel? Hey, I'm not surprised.
Hey, what is up? Welcome to this week's episode of Chingazo's Combat Crew, your one-stop shop for all your combat news. Thank you for joining us this week's installment. It's me and my cuz here. It's NFL divisional playoff weekend, fresh off UFC 297 last night. You know we got tons of stuff to talk about, cuz tons. Controversy like an MFer. Fonzo missing out, super bad, but I got his take. How you doing this Sunday, cuz?
I'm doing good, man. I'm doing real good. Just looking forward to talk about some of these fights, some of these crazy, I guess, judge
Crazy
decisions.
finishes, man. Crazy finishes.
Oh, yeah, definitely. Especially that 49er game. That one had me on my toes as well, trying to go back and forth.
Oh, my God. That was amazing. What an amazing game. Yeah. Get on the Niner wagon, y'all. There's plenty of room for everybody. You too, cuz.
Yeah, right.
All right. Well, let's get started with this week's episode. You ready, cuz? You ready to take a little trip down memory lane? Because just this past week, January 17th, yes, that's right. That's none other than the Fight Professor's birthday, Eddie Contreras. Shout out. Happy belated birthday, my brother. But 19 years ago, on that very date, Ultimate Fighter Season 1, Episode 1 premiered on Spike TV. Because you were like overseas fighting terrorists and fighting for our freedom during this time. Mm-hmm. But I don't know how much of that show you got to watch. Have you ever gone back and watched this?
Actually, I did. I watched it when I got back. I had to watch it after it already was done. But yeah, I did watch it. And
what'd you think? What'd you think of it back then?
Oh, I loved it. The first one I saw, I loved it. I loved all the the stuff in between the scenes, and then also getting to find out like what the fighters kind of go through outside of the ring, and their mindsets, and just they're just normal fucking dudes, just having a good time, and having their own issues and stuff. Yeah, it's great. I loved it. I was on board from the get-go.
Definitely, man. And looking back now, like look at the Hall of Fame class that was there. Chris Lieben, Diego Sanchez, Josh Koscheck, Mike Swick, Stephen Bonner, Forrest Griffin. I mean, almost everybody that was in the show ended up fighting in the UFC and put on spectacular fights. But there were some big time gem fighters in this little group here. It was a special group. And like you said, you touched on a lot there, because it was awesome to get a sneak peek behind the scenes, like the weight cutting, all the tension, the anxiety between the fighters. You know what I mean? Yeah, they're nervous. They're competing against each other. And back then, I think if you would lose, you got sent home.
Yeah,
right?
You got sent home. Yep.
Yeah. So that was a crazy show, man.
Later, they ended up having a problem with one team being one team having so many losses. They didn't have anybody to train with, and so they ended up having to move around. So I think after that, really kind of switched things around.
Yeah, and they had the formula down for a while, because Ultimate Fighter was very entertaining for a very long time. And it wasn't until they just oversaturated the market with Ultimate Fighters. I remember there was like Ultimate Fighter Brazil, Ultimate Fighter North America, Central America, their Ultimate Fighter, like there was too many to catch up on, and there wasn't enough time to watch. I don't know if I was just too busy with my own stuff, but I kind of dropped off and stopped watching it until this last season.
I think also too, you didn't have really, because there were so many of them. I don't feel like as the years went on, they still had the same caliber of people. Not to say they weren't good, not to say they weren't above the average, or they didn't deserve to be there or anything like that. But like when you look at the first show, and you have all these people that made it so far into the UFC and become Hall of Famers. Yeah, as the years went on, you really didn't. I don't feel like you really got that same quality or that same amount at the end of the whole show or the season. We're not looking at a bunch of different episodes and say, yeah, I remember all these from this show that became, Hall of Famers. This show came out. It was like hit or miss afterwards.
It was, man. And like, you can honestly go back and watch almost the first 10, maybe even 15 seasons of Ultimate Fighter. And it's just like I said, like looking through a yearbook and you're like, oh man, I remember that guy. Look, this is where he started. Yeah. Oh, dude, I remember this fight. There are so many awesome up and coming fighters that walked stayed in that house, made it on that show, and ended up having a successful impact. I mean, how many champions came out of that show? Rashad Evans, you know what I mean? Forrest Griffin. It's just, the list goes on, you know what I mean? And who knows who's going to become champion with the future shows coming on, because some of those guys are still in the UFC. So there's still time for them to become champs. All right, cuz on to the next story. Do you like dumb jocks saying things that they don't understand? Of course you do. Check this out. Who doesn't? This is NCAA multi-time national champion, soon to be maybe UFC champion. What do you think? You think this guy could end up becoming champ someday?
Oh yeah. This guy's definitely
total potential. But you know what's going to happen if he follows through with what he's talking about here? Let me just happen. This is Bo Nickal. For those of you that are listening, we got a clip of Bo Nickal on a podcast, and he was asked a question, and I don't know why he says this, but check it out.
Me and one other person would wreck a full-grown chimpanzee in a fight. I think it's a small chimpanzee. I'll agree. I'll put him in a guillotine, dude. Me and you versus a full-grown chimpanzee, we would absolutely annihilate 100%.
That guy on the screen is going to help Bo Nickal take down a full-grown chimpanzee, even a half-grown chimpanzee at that. Dude, you know what's going to happen when Bo Nickal cinches in that guillotine?
That chimpanzee's going to beat him with his arm.
He's going to rip your arm off at a minimum. For sure, he's going to grab his nutsack and rip it off. By the time he starts sinking that in, your nuts are gone already, bro. And then you're going to let go of that guillotine, and then it's game over for your face and that dude's face. Don't do this. Don't do this. I don't know what.
Has he never seen Planet of the Apes? Like, I think this guy needs to write a movie.
Dude, that's what I got in my notes right now. Bo Nickal, Planet of the Apes experience. Dude, just do this in the meta world instead of in the real world, because you'll at least be able to keep fighting, bro. Yeah. I thought this was a funny clip, man. I wanted to share with you guys. Crazy mofo. Dude, you will literally get your nuts ripped off. All right, so here is a clip of Dana White being interviewed, and he's going to drop a couple of gems for us. I'm going to play this. It's a kind of a long clip, but I'm going to sift through it. He's going to talk about Saudi Arabia. I want to hear him talk about Saudi Arabia. And I want to hear him talk about the lawsuit that's going to be coming up.
I still feel like there's one more domino that been moved.
Yes.
There was a card scheduled. There was Saudi Arabia. There was a card scheduled. I believe it was in March. Has that been moved?
Yes. We moved the card, and I know there's been a lot of talk about that the card wasn't good enough. We never even proposed the card to him. We didn't tell Saudi Arabia about one fight. So that's all. You say bullshit up here? Or,
Go ahead.
It was all bullshit. Legal.
You're the CEO of Power Slap. Bullshit's right up your alley, bro.
We never even proposed the card to them. What we wanted to do is, every time the UFC puts on an event, we want to blow the doors off the place. We want, people to be excited. So it was our first fight ever in Saudi Arabia. And a couple of fights that we wanted to line up, they weren't ready to go. So we pushed the card back.
So that makes sense. Because earlier in the week there were rumors that were like, and even the PFL CEO, I got his quote in a little bit. I'll share with everybody. But even he was like, "Hey, yo, we don't do that kind of stuff. We put on these premier cards, and when they're out, and they're spectacular from the top down. We don't do that. Oh, this card isn't good enough because all of our cards are good." So I kind of makes sense what Dana White is saying, that, you know what, we didn't even present the card because we want it to be so good. And by the way, there were probably a handful of matchups that they wanted to make and they just can't line them up. So that's why they're probably moving the card so that way they can get the matchups on the card that they want to. That probably sounds more likely.
Logically speaking, if you just use, common sense, they're going to try and secure the area first before they even say, hey, these are the people that are competing, because that's something that's going to happen along the way. You need to make sure that you have the event scheduled or, available and everything like that. So I totally agree with it, or understand what he's saying here. Like, we're not going to present the card yet because right now we're just trying to say, hey, can we do it here? Is this going to work? How's it going to, all the logistics of it and getting it done. And then also too, on top of that, who's not going to go into it saying, hey, we want to make sure that we blow off the doors with everything. So they're going to present the best that they can every time, especially in, going across seas to Saudi Arabia. They're not going to just do a UFC fight night in Saudi Arabia. They want to present something well. And from a money standpoint or a business standpoint, they're always going to try and, up the ante or try and do, blow numbers and stuff like that. So the PFL thing, yeah, I'd like to hear what he has to say.
Yeah, well, I'll get to that in just a little bit, but I also want to get to,
because it's a fight night card in the
future.
No, we're gonna start moving around fight nights and been in a long time.
At all going forward?
No.
Is there anything you give a lot of thought to, or is it just the UFC is potentially going to trial?
Is that we haven't been in a long time. So yes, we will move around more.
All right, so
The
here
UFC
they're going
is
to talk
going
about
to trial this year. Is that a concern for you at all going forward?
No.
Is there anything you give a lot of thought to, or is it just let the lawyers do their job?
Literally zero. I never think about it ever. It has nothing to do with me.
And the Sphere, September.
That has a lot to do with me. That's all I think about.
Laying down the foundation for what that's.
All right, so that was the other clip that I wanted to share with y'all. Dana White, not even scared of the lawsuit because it got nothing to do with him. They're only pulling up all his emails and texts. The lawsuit is because they are saying that the UFC is a monopoly and they were like locking in their fighters. So they're going to end up having to back pay a lot of fighters because they were just doing shady deals with them behind their back. Yeah.
But I mean, how much is it really going? So a lawsuit is going to be basically against the UFC, which Dana White, from what I understand, tell me if I'm wrong, he's just kind of like like a manager of it, like a high level manager of it, but he doesn't own the UFC. So the people that I guess would be most impacted or most are called on the lawsuit would be the owners, which would be like the Zucker brothers or WWE or whoever it is now.
Yeah, the owners are the ones that are going to be on the hook for paying for the lawsuit. But if they end up losing the lawsuit, it's going to be because of what their employees did. All this shit is straight up because of everything they were doing, backroom dealings, trying to make sure people wouldn't be able to get out of their contracts, lowballing people, intimidating people, giving them, you know what I mean? And it's all starting to finally come out. So for him to say oh yeah, I don't care about it, or I'm not thinking about it, I seriously doubt he's not thinking about it.
Well, of course, but I mean, what is he? I mean, you think these people have publicists and people that, PR people. So the best thing for him to do is say, oh, I'm not worried about it. And, and just continue the conversation and move on to the next thing. I think it would be bad and hurtful for him if he were to open his mouth and say, oh, I feel this or whatever, because then that's words are going to be can be used against him later on.
Exactly.
So I think that his best thing be like, oh yeah, I don't buy it, because then you have that confidence that, oh yeah, it's no big deal, we're good, we got the evidence that we need, or whatever it may be. Is it the mindset? And yeah, I think that's the best avenue for him to do.
Yeah, and at this point he's just got to try to save face, man, because as the date of the court gets closer and closer, they're just unleashing more and more information, you know what I mean, that's going to come out in court eventually. But it's just not looking good. It's just not looking good. So we'll see. All right, PFL is going to have a banging card coming up February 24th, where the Bellator champs are going to be fighting the PFL champs. Cuz, are you at all interested in this?
Hell yeah, I'm interested in this. I'm definitely interested in it. But at the same time, like with everything we've been talking about, as great as this is, I kind of feel like PFL or these other smaller leagues are doing everything that they can, which this is great. This is definitely a good thing to do, but I feel like they're doing everything they can to compete with the higher market of the UFC. And this is a great way of doing it, bringing champs from different things, So yeah, totally.
This
I'm
is
on board with seeing
amazing. This is what all MMA organizations should be striving to do, is having the champs of all the like Champions League. Why don't you want to try to test your champ against all the other champs? I know, like in boxing, they do it. They might not, the promoters may not want to do it, but the fans love it. The boxers love it. Why not try to unify those titles? I mean, I guess it could super duper create a logjam. Like if the UFC champ ends up beating the PFL champ, does he become the PFL champ as well? And then does he have to go defend that belt? Because then that would take him away from defending the UFC belt. But I mean, that's not really like what Champion League is about. You know what I mean? It's kind of just like a big tournament. And then once the tournament's over, everybody goes back to their respective leagues and continues kicking ass.
Yeah. Maybe like an annual thing or once a year thing, having it like that, kind of just like they do in soccer.
Man. Yeah. Heck yeah. But just maybe every other year or something, Or even like how Pride used to do back in the day, where they would have Grand Prix for certain weight classes every year. Like it's not going to be all the weight classes, just some of them.
Yeah.
But on the screen right now, I got the entire card, prelims and main card. Prelims, there's going to be a couple of fights that I'm interested in, specifically the main event. Gabriel Braga taking on Aaron Pico. Dude, that's going to be a good one. Unfortunately, I don't know if Gabriel Braga is going to still fight, because he just happened to lose his dad a couple weeks ago in an accident in Brazil. I think his dad was murdered. Yeah. So I don't know if he's going to take time off or if he's just going to go ahead and continue with the fight, but should be an interesting fight. And condolences to Gabriel and his family as well. Main event, though, look at the main event. Clay Collard, AJ McKee, banging, dude. Yoel Romero, Thiago Santos, bruh. UFC Masters Division 3. Heck yeah, sign me up, bro. Sign me up. Vadim Nemkov taking on Bruno Capelloza. I don't know anything about Capelloza, but I know Vadim Nemkov is a MFer. Patricio Pitbull versus Jesus Pinedo. I don't know anything about Pinedo, but it should be cool. Magomed Karimov is a bad dude, and he's fighting Jason Jackson, who's also a bad dude. And then co-main event and main event should be good. Former UFC veteran Impa Kasanganwe, who just won the $1 million in PFL, taking on Johnny Eblin, who happens to be one of Sean Strickland's main training partners. And some people say that he might even be better than Sean. And then the main event should be entertaining. Nothing super mind-blowing, but Renan Ferreira taking on Ryan Bader. So it should be fun.
Yeah, there's some good fights.
Yeah. And here's what I was talking about earlier. This is just PFL, just trying to talk shit on UFC. Don Davis trashing UFC, saying that the reason they're moving the card is because it was a poor card, and the Saudis were like, "Nah, we don't want that. Get out of here." But Dana already answered. So I'm for once, I actually believe Dana, and it's just a scheduling thing, and they'll come back better than ever.
Yeah.
This was just more news
about PFL and Bellator buying each other out, or PFL buying Bellator out.
Yeah, well, PFL already bought out Bellator. That's why they're doing that show. So these are the Bellator fighters taking on the PFL. Yeah. So from here on out,
if someone gets injured, who's paying for this fighter? Because now if the PFL person wins and hurts the Bellator fighter, who's paying for him while he's out? That's hurting their profits, and because that fighter can't fight now for them and make money. But if they own both of them, well then so it's just a name thing here. They're just trying to, basically they're just sorting out their employees to find out who's going to be the number one. now.
This
All right.
is like if Walmart was having a contest and that lady who retired, you seen the videos that were coming out of her? It's just Karen,
Yeah.
10-year worker in the electronics department, signing off. Walmart store number 645. Boop, that one.
Done.
Yeah. So they're just doing that. They're just lining up their best fighters, and then they're seeing how the cards fall for ratings, bro. For ratings, cuz. All right. I wanted to share this with you. Yeah, heck yeah, man. So I wish Fonzo was here because he's missing out on this. But what do you think about this poster? This is so freaking what's the game? Red Dead Redemption 2 style right now. I'm feeling the vibes.
I was just thinking, a video game or what is this?
No, this is the Fury versus Usyk official poster. So these guys are going to be fighting the week before the Bellator PFL card in basically the same area. I think even in the same arena. But this is going to be, so this should be interesting because the winner of this fight may end up fighting the winner of Francis Ngannou and Anthony Joshua.
Okay.
Yeah. So it's cool. I just wanted to share this little cowboy poster. It looks super cool, man.
Yeah, it does. This should be a video game right here.
Heck yeah. All right, because let's talk a little jiu-jitsu. And we got none other than Gordon the King Ryan on the screen, the living GOAT at the moment in no gi. Been dominating the scene for years and years and years, and it looks like he's going to be doing it for a while. But he came out with the statement, I want to say like earlier in the week, and he says he's officially going to be pulling out of all matches that are not ADCC, unfortunately. So I hope he recovers. I hope he goes back to, 100% of himself so that we can see him compete. But as a fan, we're going to miss out on some cool matches, man. And, it's always fun. No matter what, it's always fun to see Gordon just dominate the top level competitors like a lion versus a kitten, more or less. So this is going to suck. Did you read anything about this, cuz?
Yeah, I did. About him and his issues as far as his intestinal issues and stuff like that. Yeah, that sucks, man. But I mean, I understand him getting out of it and taking that time that he needs because, if it gets as bad as it said in his article or his post of what's going on, that could really be a life-ending situation, and nothing's worth that. But I'm still staying in it a little bit, but I definitely put that health first. Big time.
Yeah, I wonder. Yeah, it sounded like he said that he just came back too soon, pushed himself too soon. His body wasn't able to handle it. His body regressed, and it ended up costing him in the long run. So, you know what I mean? So, if the King can go down
back to back.
Yeah, they're right away. You know what I mean? So, I mean, I know it took a lot for him to take a step back and say that he wasn't going to be able to do these matches, but it's also a sign of him maturing, saying that, you know what, I'm gonna wait. I'm gonna sacrifice the short term for the long term, and in the end, it's better for me and my career, and it's also better for jiu-jitsu. Would you rather have 2 Gordon Ryan matches or 10 more Gordon Ryan matches?
Definitely 2, especially if he's going to be at his 100%. I'd rather.
I'm sure he'll be back. I'm sure he'll be back to 100%.
Oh yeah, but I'm just saying, like watching multiple fights, and he's not at his best, and he's just kind of trying to push through it, versus him just dominating and being what we know he can be. I'd rather have 2.
True that. All right, cuz let's talk a little UFC here. UFC just announced a UFC Fight Night matchup. Our boy Dan Ige going to be taking on Andre Fili. Andre Fili just recently had an early round 1, round 2 TKO victory, I believe, back in December. And now he's going to be taking on Dan Ige. Did Dan Ige last lose to Bryce Mitchell? Was that his last fight? I can't remember.
Sure. I'm not sure.
Yeah. But this should be a super good card, and we're going to get it in a couple of weeks, cuz. So stay tuned.
Looking forward to it.
Heck yeah. All right. Let's start slowly moving towards UFC 297. And I got some UFC 297 media scrum. I mean, what would you call this? Drama, clown show, entertainment?
Shit that doesn't need to even be a part of the world, the UFC world. Like, yeah, this is ridiculous.
How dare you, cuz? How dare you not be offended when she was offended?
Right?
No.
Right?
So set the table, cuz what are we talking about right now? So on, what was this, Thursday? You know, all the fighters were at the press conference and they got to get asked questions by the media. And I believe this guy on the screen right now, his name is Kevin
Lee, right?
Alex K.Lee from MMA Fighting. And he
he comes.
Go for it.
Yeah, so he comes out on the stage, or he gets picked on to ask a question. And instead of asking, this is like questions supposed to be regarding the fighter and the fights that are going to be happening, you know, in the next day or two. And he comes out and he just starts asking him about his comments he made years ago and how he feels about it. And it just made, I mean, it had nothing to do with the fight now. And I'm glad that Sean, you know, stood by his beliefs, his thoughts, and he said what he was and called it really what it was. I mean, had nothing to do with the fight, nothing to do with it. Neither one of them are part of this group. Neither one of them have anything to do with the group. And, you know, I felt like it was just a gimmick to get
clicks, follows,
pretty much.
sympathy.
Yeah.
Oh, this guy, no, you know, and he got some sympathy, but not a lot. And actually, I kind of feel like a lot of MMA and UFC fans were like, this enough. Just like you said, like, hey, he's fighting for the belt. He's defending his belt in 2 days. He's got an amazing backstory. You abused as a child, fought through that, and ended up becoming a world champion. And you're not going to ask him anything about that. You're not going to ask him about his preparation. You're not going to ask him about his mindset going in. You're not going to ask him if he's been affected by the trash talk that's been going on between him and DDP. You're not going to talk about how he got into it with his opponent at a UFC last month in a street fight. No, you're going to ask him about a tweet from 2 weeks ago. Come on, man. You know what? I mean, this is America, and you can ask whatever you want, but why would you want to ask this? You might as well just go and ask him a question about trig. Like, go ask him math questions.
Yeah, right?
Go ask him a math question, and then that might give you more insight into what's going on in his brain.
Yeah.
Yeah. Boxers or briefs? Apple pie,
like,
cherry pie. Do you like cakes or pies? Yeah. Stupid questions.
Right?
And then you have other people jumping on this train, like this clown on the screen. I guess her name is Rachel Gilmore. Dude, I don't know who the F that freaking lady is. But that lady ended up putting out a tweet, and she thinks she's so high and mighty that she thought that she could get TikTok to actually go out and stop the show. Like in this little rant video that she went on, she was like, TikTok, you know what to do. You need to cancel that show and prevent that guy from ever saying anything. Like, no, dude, that's fucking stupid. Yeah. If you don't want to watch, you don't want to hear what he has to say, turn it down or turn it off. I don't want to hear what you have to say. Exactly.
Or don't ask him.
Exactly.
You're mad.
You know who I don't want to hear about? Rachel.
The way
you know who I'm not? Say that again.
I said she's getting mad at his honest response after you ask him the question, then don't ask the question. You already know. He made a comment a while ago. He already know what his view. So if you don't want to hear it, if you don't want that intent or you don't want it to go that direction, then don't ask. Don't ask the question. Then if you do ask the question and you still don't like it, then don't watch. Don't try and make everyone else jump on board with you because you're offended or you don't like it. Who cares? That's not what they're here for.
Yep. Exactly, man. Everybody wants to make their agenda everyone's agenda, and that's not fair. It's not right. You know, you can have your opinion and you can be upset, but you can't go and want everybody else to join you or get mad when no one wants to join you. So go
Yeah,
back to the
right?
circus, Rachel. Get out of here. Stay out of our sport. All right, because you know already that Conor McGregor is going to end up taking on Michael Chandler at UFC, who knows, 300 or whatever during International Fight Week. But
Yeah.
before we get to that, I guess they're going to end up. I mean, I don't even know if they do this because it's not going to be for the belt. So I don't think the UFC has backup fighters for non-title fights. At least they don't name them right away. You know what I mean? Like if a fighter falls out of a fight that's not for a belt, then they look for a replacement fight. But they don't announce a fight and be like, okay, these two guys are going to fight. But if one of them gets hurt, you're going to fight. You're going to be the backup. They don't do that.
Yeah.
And Dan Hooker wants them to do that. Dan Hooker wants to be the backup fighter for the Michael Chandler Conor McGregor fight. What? Dude, that's fucking stupid.
What the he's just trying to get his name. He's just trying to get his name out there. That's all it is.
He
Publicity.
is, man. Just shut up, dude. Michael Chandler already sent you to the Shadow Realm once. You want it to happen again, bro?
Right.
Yeah, no, that's garbage, man. Garbage. Let's keep this train moving, cuz Dana White announced another matchup for UFC 300, and he's putting on Jim fucking Miller versus Bobby the King Green. So now Jim Miller's going to get that check mark for UFC 100, UFC 200, and UFC 300. Are you at all entertained by this? Do you think that this is taking up a slot for a potentially bigger fight, or do you not even care?
I really don't care either way.
Yeah, I don't really care either way. You know what I mean? It's not like every card on UFC 100 or UFC 200 was mind blowing. So they got to fill it in with some kind of fight. So this will be good for the old schoolers. You know what I mean? This will be good for the old schoolers.
Yeah,
this isn't going to have. Yeah, this isn't going to have a say in the top 5, or this isn't going to produce a number 1 contender. But this should be a good fight, depending on where Bobby Green's head.
Yeah, it's going to be a slugfest for sure.
Massacre, but it should really be a good fight. So as a fan, we win. So people shouldn't be getting too upset. All right, cuz last night we had UFC 297 main event. Deshaun Strickland taking on DDP, Dricus, Plesis. And do you think the card lived up to the hype or what? Pretty good. Thumbs up.
Man,
thumbs up overall or a thumbs down?
I'd give it a thumbs up overall. Yeah. There was a couple there that I was like, I'm going to switch back to the 49er game, even though I'm not a 49er fan, and I was heavily impressed. But yeah, for overall, it was good. It was a good card.
Yeah, I thought it was a really good card, man. So before we get into the card, I think we're going to go over our parlay card. So on the screen right now, I have my main card picks. So I'm just going to give 1 point for if you pick the winner, 1 point if you got the method of victory, and 1 point if you predicted the round. All right. So we all went with Evil. So I went with Evilov decision. So that's 3 for me. Pick the method of victory. I got the winner and I got the round. Same thing with Curtis. And then with Magmi, I got all the way except for the decision because he ended up getting the sub. So that's 6, 7, 8. I lost the co-main. Myra lost. I had picked her to win. And then I lost the main event. I picked Sean. So I only ended up with 2, 4, 6 points. Fonzo ended up with 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So Fonzo has scored, I think, 10. Yeah, 3. Let's see, 3, 4, 5, 6. Oh no, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Yeah, he did. Fonzo got 10, and then you got 6, 7, 8, 9. Ooh, he beat you by 1 point, cuz.
Yeah.
Yeah, he got you by 1.
Always that guy.
It was the Malo fight. So
Yeah.
he picked Magny by KO round 2. So he at least got the points for Magny, and then you
Right.
didn't get any for the Malo. So shout out Fonzo, you won the parlay show by 1 point again, my brother. Let's get into the card, bro. Let's get into the main, actually prelims and main card, and we're only going over the finishes. So on the screen right now, Jasmine Jasudavicius taking on Priscila Cachera. Because this was a fucking slaughter. Let's check this out. This is round 3. Check this out.
Bloody.
Jazz on top, raining shots, almost like in a north-south style position. And then she starts going for like a Darce. Check this out. Whoop. Sinks it in and clinches it up. As soon as she got that leg over, it was game over.
Yeah, it was game over. That shit was
she
deep,
was
like
doing. Yeah, she was doing whatever she wanted the entire fight. Because so check this out. I want to share the judges' scorecards. Look at this. So they didn't. They went into round 3, but they didn't finish. Look at round 1, 10-8. All judges gave her a 10-8 in round 1. 2 of 3 judges gave her a 10-8 in round 2. And 1 judge even gave her a 10-7. Because you talk about a beatdown. You will never see scorecards like this again. 2016, 2016, 2015.
Damn.
It's like a game of 21 on the street.
Right?
All right, let's keep it moving. On the prelims, Malcolm Gordon taking on Jimmy Flick. So Jimmy Flick was actually a pretty big actually not a big underdog, but he was the underdog. So we catch this round 2, Jimmy Flick in full mount, and he looks like he's in Gordon's half guard, and he's trying to transition into an arm triangle.
Yeah.
And he slowly starts moving that shoulder over. Look at this. He gets to his side, and that was game over. Look, Gordon's trying to get on the phone, but he's just, look at, I love how Flick put that knee on Gordon's belly to create more space. Right there, look, right there. There's that knee. That was it. As soon as he posted that knee up, that was it.
Yeah.
So shout out Jimmy
kept him from
Flick.
getting posted.
Yeah, he couldn't get back up, couldn't create that space to alleviate the pressure. So shout out Jimmy Flick. You got the finish, my brother. Dude, check this out. Johan Lainisi taking on Sam Patterson. Sam Patterson was a pretty big underdog in this one as well. We catch this one in round 1. Patterson working for the back, slowly trying to drag Lainisi down. Got 1 hook in. He's got that John Salters half guard from the back, and he's got 1 arm over the chin. Patterson, and then Patterson just starts cranking it, and then it slips under the chin. Slipped it under the chin. If you look, because it was right on the chin at first. Check it out. Look at how Patterson is starting to dig in right here, and then gets that. Once he gets that hand behind his elbow, that just creates that tension, man, that pressure. Yeah, and that was game over.
But it looked like he also he pulled his head up to try, and when he went to grab, he pulled his head up, and that just allowed that arm.
That forced the forearm to slide right under. Yeah, you're right. That was a good move, man. That's a veteran move right there.
That's awesome.
That's like a high level blue belt taking on a brand new white belt when he takes his back and he grabs him by the greñas and pulls his head back and then gets the choke. It's not illegal, guys. It's not illegal. All right, cuz next fight, just jumping right into the main card. I think this was the only finish on the whole main card, huh?
Yeah. The first 2 were by decision.
Yeah, everything. I mean, so I don't have any clips of the Evilov and Arnold Allen fight, but what'd you think of that fight? Good fight or not?
Yeah, no, I thought that was a good fight. I thought that was a good fight.
Very entertaining fight.
Very impressed.
Very impressed with Evilov's wrestling, though.
Oh my God. He was on his back like Dora the Explorer's backpack. That some of
Dude,
those
how good was
transitions.
his back control in that first round? Even though Arnold was
Wow.
doing those Gambi rolls, he was just on him like a fly on poop. He could not shake him at all. That was so good.
Mhm. And if any, a couple times it even got like tighter. He even got closer to him. I don't even
Yeah,
know
he
how.
did. Yeah.
him.
Yeah. So now I'm pretty sure on Monday we'll see Ivalov in the top 5. So that should create some very interesting matchups down the line.
You think he'll be in the top 5? The top 10?
Oh yeah, because Arnold was number 4, I think. So I'm sure he's just gonna take his
dang.
place. Yeah, he's
Ooh,
gonna
okay.
at a minimum, he'll be in the top 5
Yeah.
maybe even.
Okay.
All right. Let's go to this one. Neil Magny taking on Mike Malone, and this is in the 3rd round. And it was like
Dude.
somebody just flipped the switch, huh?
Yeah.
Because Malone was winning.
Yeah.
Like he beat the brakes off of Magny round 1, beat the brakes off of Magny round 2, beating the brakes off of Neil Magny up until like, I don't know, were they clenched up against the cage? And then he plopped, like he fell, went for a guillotine, and then Magny popped out of it, and then that was it. It was like
Yeah.
Malone had
Someone
nothing
turned his
left.
switch off.
Yeah, he had nothing left in the tank. So check this out. Magny on top, round 3, 36 seconds left in the fight. All he has to do is survive.
Right. Yeah.
Cannot for the life of him. And Neil Magny just, postures up and does his thing. It just starts raining. It doesn't matter who's best. What matters is who's left, bro. And look at that.
Jeez.
Ref has no choice but to step in and save Malone. Dang, dude.
Yeah.
How many unanswered
I was
shots were
not
those? Let's see.
expecting
Let's go back and count them.
Better
Let's
go
see.
back a
From the
long
rear
way.
naked. All right, here's going 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, 31, 32, 33, 34, 35, 36, 37. Dude, 37 unanswered shots? I don't care if they're
Almost like
pitter-patter.
20 seconds worth of getting your ass beat before someone stopped
dude.
it.
His head must have been ringing like a mother freaker.
Look at his face after when he finally gets it stopped. The look on his face is like, what the fuck?
Yeah, like what was, did you guys get the license plate on that car?
Yeah, right?
Oh my gosh, man. Yeah, that was crazy.
So I don't I was like, what is going on here?
Yeah. All right, cuz this is the fight that I know everybody that's been listening, everybody that's been watching has been eagerly anticipating us to talk about. And I really, really wish Fonzo was here because Fonzo's on the opposite side of this one. So we're talking about the main event, Sean Strickland defending his middleweight championship against South Africa's Dricus du Plessis. I don't have any highlights for this one because it ended in a decision, but let's look at the judges' scorecards because Judge Derek Clary gave it to DDP 48-47. Eric Colin gave it to DDP 48-47. And the last judge, Sal Diamato, gave it to Sean Strickland 48-47. So if we look at the round by round breakdown, every judge gave round 1 to Sean, 10-9.
Yeah.
Would you agree? Did you give round 1 to Sean?
I would agree.
I think he outpaced him, outperformed him. He blocked a lot of his kicks, checked a lot of them, and that jab was just landing like crazy.
Yeah,
landing like crazy. And then he was following it up with that overhand right that was landing.
Yeah, he was hitting some good hard shots.
And then let's look at round 2. All the judges agreed and gave round 2 to DDP. 10-9, 10-9, 10-9. Did you give round 2 to DDP?
I don't remember exactly, but I feel like I gave it to Sean just a little bit. But I thought
I did too. And I remember like we were texting in between rounds, and I was like, dude, look at DDP's eyes going into his corner at the end of round 2. I was like, he's going to come out for round 3 and his eyes going to be closed up shut. And it was. Yeah. And that didn't just happen with one shot. That was just a culmination of points. So I thought that what Sean did in round 1, I thought he repeated again. So I gave round 2 to Sean.
Right.
And then
That and
round
also
three,
too, like he did. Sean didn't look tired at all in
not
round 2.
no,
DDP
no,
was
not
already
at
breathing
all.
through his mouth. Tired.
He was breathing through his mouth and he was absorbing a lot of damage. He was eating a lot of jabs and eating a lot of those right hands. And it just almost seemed like he didn't know what to do. Like his plan wasn't working. And then round 3 came out, and then all the judges again. Let's see. Derek Clary gave round 3 to DDP. Eric Colin gave round 3 to DDP, and Sal Diamato gave round 3 to Sean. I gave round 3 to DDP. I thought that Sean started to. I thought round 3 was super close. It could have gone either way, but I lean a little more towards DDP because Sean's output slowed down, I thought, quite a bit.
It did.
And he was starting to land. I think it was like at the end of round 3 somewhere where Sean got clipped with something and he started to get that little cut right above his eye. And it wasn't leaking yet, but it was starting to open up. You could see it.
Yeah.
And then round 4, I thought DDP also won, and all the judges across the board gave round 4 to DDP. Round 4, if you remember, that's when he opened up that cut, and it was just like leaking all over the place. So I thought that might have an effect on the judge's decision just because it looked like it was way worse than it really was. Even though it may have just been one cut. And again, it wasn't just one punch. It was a culmination of punches that caused that damage. But it didn't look good. And then again, like round 3, Sean slowed down. And even his corner was on his ass about it. Like, dude, what are you doing? This is not how we're going to win the fight. He told him that. And then in round 5, it seemed like Sean got back on the bike and was and put the pedal to the metal again. And he was just pitter-pattering again. And I thought that he scored enough to win round 5. So Derek Clary gave round 5 to Sean. Eric Colin gave round 5 to Sean, and Sal Diamato gave round 5 to Sean. So all across the board, all the judges gave it to Sean, at least round 5.
Yeah.
And then I want to share right now, I think Fonzo ended up giving rounds 2, 3, and 4 to DDP.
So he agreed with Derek.
He agreed with the judges, yeah. And then I was messaging with Eddie earlier today, and Eddie had it. Let's see, what did he say? He had rounds 1 and 5 for Strickland, and he had the same thing, rounds 2, 3, and 4 for Sean. So Eddie had the same scorecard as Eric Colin and Derek Clary. So I do have some punch stats on the screen that I got from Cali Firefighter. Shout out, Mike. Thank you for sharing with us in the group chat, my man. So on the screen, we got all the significant strikes, I guess. Total strikes landed, significant strikes landed. So total strikes landed. Sean was 183 out of 419, where DDP was 140 out of 358. So Sean outstruck him by like 43 punches. Significant landed. Sean 173, DDP 137. Headshots landed. Sean 157, DDP 81. Body shots landed. Sean 10, DDP 32. So Sean was not going to the body or leg.
Yeah, just
leg
that overhead, right?
Yeah. 6 for 6 on leg kicks, whereas DDP was 24 out of 34. And then they gave DDP 2 minutes and 8 seconds of control time. How many takedowns did he land? 2 or 3?
I would say I thought it was 3. I counted
think
3.
It was 3. But he didn't do anything with those takedowns.
No.
I think on one of them he landed some shots, but it wasn't anything where Sean was in danger. Yes, nothing significant and nothing that caused major damage. And each time Sean got taken down, he popped up back up within. I mean, it wasn't that long, you know. So
yeah,
I don't think that takedowns were enough to win him the fight. On the screen right now, so everyone out there watching, listening, I don't know if you're aware, but we do score fights and we do predict fights using the Verdict MMA app. So next pay-per-view, Look for the invite. We'll be sending them out through emails or direct DMs on Instagram. But the verdict overall keeps track of everyone who participates in the scoring. They average all the points up. They count them all up. So on the screen right now, what we're seeing is everybody that scored the main event and how it went down. So in round 1, 9.89 points. So basically, almost everybody gave round 1 to Sean. So round 1, Verdict MMA scored it 9.89 for Sean and 9.13 for DDP. Round 2, Verdict MMA scored it 9.55 for Sean and 9.47 for DDP. Super close round. But again, they gave it to Sean, and that's how I scored it. I scored it that same way.
Yeah.
Round 3, Verdict MMA scored it 9.52 to 9.5. So Verdict MMA gave round 3 to Sean by 0.02 of a point. Freaking close.
It's super close. Yeah, super close.
And then round 4, they gave to DDP. So they gave round 4. In round 4, they gave Sean 9.06 and DDP 9.93. So overall,
drastic.
That was for sure Sean DDP's most dominant round. And then round 5, they gave it to Sean, 9.87 to 9.14. When you add them all up, it's a score of 47.88 for Sean and a score of 47.18 for DDP. So again, a razor close win on Verdict MMA for Sean Strickland by 0.7 of a point, cuz 0.7 of a point. I want to share Dana White at the post-fight press conference.
I had it 2-2 going into the last round, and I thought Strickland won the last round. Guys who were sitting at the same table had it the other way, and it was a close fight. I thought Strickland looked great in the first 2 rounds. I mean, the jab was fucking beautiful. You don't see jabs like that in MMA. And the jab did what they're supposed to do. Both of his eyes were swollen shut. He slowed down in the 3rd and 4th. Plesis kept coming forward, then started mixing up takedowns and punches. And I had it even going to the 5th round. I'm like, this is the round. See who wants it. And they both started to turn it up a little bit. It's just one of those tight fights. But I'm also one of these guys, I believe you have to take it from the champion. So
I don't like that. I think if you win the fight, you win the fight. And I thought that Sean definitely won the fight. So even the combat crew can't decide who won this fight because we're split right down the middle. 2 of us thought Sean Strickland won and 2 of us thought that DDP won. So they're probably going to end up running this back. Rematch again. Or you think they're just going to move? You think they're going to move forward with the Adesanya and DDP? Or does Izzy have to fight? Does Izzy have to win a fight before he gets a title shot again?
I think Izzy not only does he need to win a fight before he gets a title shot again, I think that Izzy needs to mentally just be in the game again. I don't think he's mentally there. I don't know what trigger or what happened with him and Sean, but that just broke him. And I don't know if he's got that mental fortitude to do it again.
Yeah, maybe he might have to climb his way back up the mountain, man. I don't know. I mean, he as a former champ, his last fight was for the belt, and usually they give champs an instant rematch. You know what I mean? But I don't think that fight with Sean was that close for it to merit a rematch. So I'm with you. I'm good with let's move forward. Let's do this rematch because this was extremely close. Extremely close.
I agree.
And then let's give Izzy, I don't know, Khamzat. What?
Oh, yes.
Let's go. UFC 300.
And whoever wins that fights the winner of this one. This rematch.
It would only make sense. It would only make sense. Either that or Bo Nickal and that YouTuber versus a chimpanzee. Tag team match. Go.
Yes, let's see it.
I don't want to see anybody die, man. No way. All right, cuz. Well, that's a wrap for this week. I know. He's digging his own grave, man. He's digging his own grave. Yeah. All right, cuz that was it for this week's episode. Anything you got to say before we wrap this up?
Yeah. So my team was out competing at San Jose Open. I just want to give everyone a shout out for Apex Jiu-Jitsu who went out there and competed. My boy JB got his black belt. So congratulations, JB, on that. Definitely
That's
deserved.
what's up.
You know, JB now. Also, old training partner and his son, who also I trained with him too. He made it out. He was invited out to ADCC Open this weekend, and just want to give him a shout out, man. That's super awesome. Young kid, he's got to watch him. I mean, still in high school, just making his way. Got him, one out in the East Coast, and now was invited out here, just doing great things. And so, yeah, keep watching. Will Potter, man, watch him.
Hell yeah, Will, keep doing your thing, bro. All right, that's it for this week. Until next week, have a fantastic week, and let's try to hit them parlays next week, cuz Chingazos crew out. Peace.